All right, mate, how you doing? So today I'm talking about the 7 types of pushback that you're going to get when you stop being Mr. Nice Guy, stop being a people pleaser, and you start asserting your boundaries. I'll dive into the 7 types of pushback, what that looks like, what it sounds like, so you can tell what kind of pushback you're actually getting, and I'm going to tell you how to respond so that you don't cave and don't go back to being Mr. People Pleaser, Mr. Nice Guy. Why? So you can be a man who others respect. A man who respects himself. So the first type of pushback that you're going to get is the most common, and it's guilt tripping. Let's say, for example, someone who consistently crosses your boundaries and keeps asking for things that you don't want to do, etc. Guilt tripping might sound like, I thought you were a good friend. I thought you were a good brother. I thought you were a good dad, or whatever the case is, right? Or after everything I've done for you, you can't do this one little thing. The whole purpose of this is to make you feel guilty. The whole purpose of this, when someone's guilt tripping you, is to get control back. Okay, they don't actually really mean what they're saying a lot of the time. It's all just about making you feel guilty for doing anything so they can have emotional control. Okay, so you've got to recognize that. But how do you respond? You respond calmly. You refuse to over explain yourself. You refuse to justify yourself. Make sure you stick to a short response. Resist the urge to try and fix their disappointment, and you've got to remember that their emotions are theirs, not yours. It's not your responsibility. The second type of pushback is what I call blame or accusation. So if you start saying something, you start setting a boundary, a person might then turn it back on you by blaming you, saying, you're making this so difficult for everybody. Why do you have to rock the boat so much? Okay, the emphasis there is, they're essentially trying to say that you're the problem. It's similar to guilt tripping, but it's a lot more direct, okay? They're coming at you with it. So the response is kind of similar. You stay calm and you stay neutral. The blame and accusation will only work if you get emotional, okay? If you enter into an argument, refuse to enter into an argument, okay? Just stay centered, stay focused on what it is that you're trying to do, be very well aware of what your boundary is, and stick with it. Again, short responses. I understand you're upset, but this is still true for me. I understand you're upset, but this is still my boundary. The third type is denial or dismissal. You start setting a boundary, or you start saying, let's say for example, someone's talking to you in a way that you don't like. Someone dismissing you might say, you're being so sensitive. Oh, come on, why are you being so sensitive? The idea there is to undermine your frame of reference. You want something to be the way it is, or you have a feeling. Their intention is to downplay it so that they can basically, again, it's all about control over the situation, okay? So what you need to do there is you need to stay rooted and grounded in your perspective, okay? If you're setting a boundary, you can say, I've thought about this and this is still important to me, right? So again, you just repeat back what you just said. Always remember the broken record technique. You don't have to justify or go loads of different routes. Just repeat what you're saying in the knowledge that your needs, your desires, your boundary matters. If you don't actually believe that, then any of these techniques that they use, you'll cave to any of them. Okay, so for the most part, it's like an inner work thing you need to do first, okay? Calm, broken record technique, rinse and repeat. Pushback type number 4 is what I call manipulation and gaslighting. I know some of you men in this audience watching this now have experienced that one. But in case you haven't, manipulation or gaslighting is essentially trying to undermine your reality. Okay, so let's say you're communicating a boundary of something that a person said to you, or something a person did, and it's quite vague, but it's quite broad anyway. They might say to you, I don't remember it that way. Or might say, I never said that. You know, like if someone disrespects you, a gaslighting response would be, did I say that? I don't think I said that. No, I didn't say that. If you remember it differently, it's amazing how often a person might gaslight in the face of like overwhelming evidence, or just deny. It's an all attempt to control. So the important way to respond is trust your reality. Trust your reality. Okay, if you remember something, stick with it. Okay, you might say to a person who's gaslighting you or trying to manipulate you in that way, you might say, I'm not getting into an argument over the details. Trust your reality, and don't let that person make you undermine your own reality. Type of pushback number 5, playing the victim. okay? I don't know if you've ever experienced this. I hope you haven't, because it's screwed up. But let's say you start saying to somebody, I appreciate if you didn't do that. I'm struggling with specific examples today, but I'd appreciate if you didn't do that thing anymore that you do that bothers me. That person then might come back and sort of say, well, I guess I'm just a bad person then, or I guess I'm just a bad dad, or I guess I'm just a bad friend, or whatever. The intention that this person is not communicating to you is that they don't want you to say what you're saying. They don't want to take responsibility for their behavior or whatever. What they actually want you to do is to forget what you just said. And 9 times out of 10, the way a nice guy people pleaser will respond to a person playing the victim is to try and soothe that person, right? Which is exactly what a person playing the victim or some sort of emotional manipulator, that's exactly what they want. Because then it puts them in a position where you're giving them emotional supply, you're giving them attention, and they don't have to take responsibility for the way they're showing up or communicating. Type of pushback number 6, anger or aggression. This is, okay lads, this is one thing that I think 9 out of 10 guys watching this right now are afraid of the most, right? Anger, aggression, and conflict. You start setting a boundary, someone says, are you kidding me? Like, how dare you? How absolutely dare you say that to me? You know, raised voices, that kind of thing. 9 times out of 10, we exaggerate as nice guy people pleaser types. We exaggerate how often this would happen, right? In our minds, we think it's going to happen more than it will. But that being said, it does sometimes still happen. How do you respond? Well, I've got 2 things to say on this. The first one is, do not match their level of intensity, okay? When a person's getting aggressive, if you stay grounded and calm and you lower your voice as they increase theirs, this is like, it's a hack for dealing with aggressive people, okay? I actually saw Gordon Ramsay on one of his shows do this, right?
In front of anybody.
Is that you have to show off?
How bloody fucking dare you?
Don't be stupid. Don't be so stupid.
I'm not showing off.
Don't be so stupid.
I am tired.
Calm down.
No.
Don't raise your hands.
Why not?
Don't raise your hands.
What do you mean, don't raise my bloody hands?
I've just told you, don't raise your hands.
What?
Don't. Calm down.
No.
So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say is something I recommend to any man. Any man. Do a martial art. Boxing, Muay Thai, MMA, whatever the case is. Why? Because you need to know that you're not going to be completely hopeless if things escalate, right? I'm not saying you should get into fights. Oh, it's a silly idea. Absolutely silly. But you need to know in yourself that if things go down, you're not just going to be a complete victim, a complete prey animal, okay? If you know that in your mind, I believe in a man's psyche, it reduces anxiety. It reduces this fear of conflict. I recommend my one-to-one clients, I recommend to all of them, just do martial arts for God's sake. And type of pushback number 7 is testing your boundary later. This might be a case of, you know, if you say to a friend or something who's always late, you say, you address that, you ask him to not be late anymore, it bothers you, your time is very valuable, which it is, and he consistently shows up late, okay? Again, readdress it, all right? Or let's say, for example, you've set a boundary and a person knows that, but then what they say to you is, oh, I know you said this, but can you just do this just this once? You know, they're trying to sort of wriggle, they're trying to get you to cave, okay? Now, I'm not saying there aren't exceptions to be made sometimes, but if a person's consistently, like they hear your boundary, they hear something you've asserted yourself on, and they're ignoring you, then, I know I'm going to sound like an actual broken record by suggesting this, but it's the broken record technique again. It's just you, it's all about you maintaining your frame, and you maintaining your groundedness in your own reality. You'd essentially say, no, we've already talked about this. I'm not going to do that for you. Nice guys, people pleasers, we get into the habit of over-justifying, of feeling like we only deserve to have our needs met if the other person agrees with it. So that's why we cave into trying to over-explain everything and get into the realm of just a long conversation where you don't feel satisfied at the end of it. No is a complete sentence. We've already talked about this. I'm not going to do that. And then just shut up. Because you don't have to say anything after that. So quickly to recap, the 7 types of pushback. We have guilt tripping. We have blame or accusation. We have denial or dismissal. We have manipulation and gaslighting you, trying to undermine your reality. We have playing the victim. We've got anger and aggression, and we've got testing your boundary later. So with all that, you should be well equipped at this point to be able to spot the types of pushback that you're going to get when you start sticking up for yourself, which I do recommend you do. I'm going to show you the absolute genius behind the camera for this video. That is my little brother. And that dog right there has been constantly begging me to throw the ball for this entire video. I should set a boundary with her. I wonder what kind of pushback this dog will give me. So if you've got any questions, stick them in the comments down below. Thank you for watching, mate. And as always, stay courageous.